Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the video. This time is the MDX Wonder Woman, the classic version, brought to you by Mezco Toys. Uh, this is actually a pretty dope figure. It photographs really well. I think that it only suffers from the same thing that all the women bodies suffer from, which is the lack of articulation in certain areas that their male counterparts get. Now, outside of all of that, you still get a fantastic looking Wonder Woman that honestly, if you've loved the Linda Carter stuff, or you love the Mario Garcia Lopez stuff, or the Phil Jimenez stuff in comics, this definitely gives you that look, and that it pleases that part of your brain that knows and loves comics, and that's pretty dope. So while you may not get the articulation, you definitely get the classic look, all with some cool, like, modernized accessories, which I think is pretty much sure to make everybody happy. So let's actually remove the blade, well, sword, and the lasso of truth, and let's talk about the main figure first off. Now, her look is actually really nice. Like I said, it has that Linda Carter look. It's very classic. It's the trunks, it's the classic bright and gold red armor, and it just overall it pleases me. It tickles my fancy to know that this classic Wonder Woman definitely covers the bases in terms of the look. Now, in terms of articulation, that's where she suffers a bit, just like the Gale one from the movie. She is single jointed, but she doesn't suffer from the terrible leg options from previous. That's one thing that has been updated and modernized, and I'll get to that in a second. Now, as far as our head articulation goes, she can go left, right, and she can lift the head up. The only issue is her hair being in the way. So for flight poses, you got to be a little careful and use that backwards waist articulation. Well, the upper torso swivel. So actually, you can move her upper torso back a little. And while this is still like armor and it's one piece, you can still move it a little bit. That's allowing you to move that lower torso as well. So just keep that in mind. It actually bends as well too. So when you're doing those flight poses, you can actually get it from the top flight stand. So let's say you were rotating these arms up. And these are just some random pointers for those who, you may need that little extra push. As you can see here, she can do the flight stand, but you're going to get poses from below as opposed to upon the same one. So just keep that in mind. The arms are single jointed, but they rotate pretty far up. They are on a 90-degree angle, L shape. They go up and down. It has that classic ball joint that rotates pretty well. And this is the one that I wish that it was cut a little deeper and showed that she can actually get better than a 90-degree crunch. But she unfortunately does not. But she can still cross, let's see, hold on. Yep, can still cross the arms, which is good. That's something I was worried about, but she can still cross them. So that's pretty nice. It's a little bummer that she didn't get them double jointed, but beggars can't, well, let me not say that. But anyway, as far as the leg articulation goes, now it goes pretty far outward. There is a thigh cut that is visible. Nice, and it doesn't irritate the eyes for those of you who worry about that kind of stuff. Now, when rotating the leg joint up, it can go about this far, which is pretty nice. And the leg extends further back than 90 degrees. So that previous issue that we faced with Catwoman is no longer an issue here. As you can see, her boot is pretty well. And she has probably the best ankle pivot articulation in a very long time, as her rotates pretty well forward and backwards as well. Pretty dope stuff. Now, like I said, the look she has, she only suffers in the way of actual articulation for those of you who try to push your figures to the limit. Can she still get some classic poses? Can she look good in photos? Absolutely, yes. Even here, she looks fantastic posed up. She looks great. Even in my photos that I took, she looks fantastic. But that may not be enough for some of you. It is enough for me, but that may not be enough for some of you. So please take that into heavy consideration. That's up to you, and it's your preference. Your aversion is not needed here. So anyway, let's jump into the weapons of what she comes with and other accessories. We're going to talk about it, mix and match up some stuff, show you what's going on. She does have an alternative head. This is a angry head, or I want to say an open mouth head. The hair is flown back a little bit more to give you a little bit of a better range. We pop this off, pop it on, and as you can see, it gives you a little bit more of a range on the head. Not too much, but just enough. There's even a little bit more flush in the cheeks as well. But as you can see here, it looks absolutely stunning here in the video. Actually, let's pop this off. We're going to talk about her cape as well too, or a cloak in this case, because it definitely seems more of a cloak. Now let's say she gets angry. Oop, there we go. The cape is wired. It's a little heavy on the heavy side, but it is wired and looks fantastic and folds very well. So that way when you want to do certain poses, here we go. Let me actually change that focus real fast. Voila. So this actually works pretty well. You just got to make sure it stays down. So for that, what I suggest you do is you make sure you put on the normal head, because this one with the gap in the hair, it keeps it from coming down because the cape is a little heavy and droops, but it does flow phenomenally. As you can see here, you can change it up, pose it up. Even if you wanted to get a little extra, you put a little sticky tack under so it holds in place. Voila. I like this velvet. It feels like velvet, but it's not. But this actually feels pretty good too, and I like that. This is one of those things where the classic woman and women, they definitely took their own interpretation, added some stuff, which I don't mind at all. Let's pose her up a little bit. Oh, this is where actually I pop on the other head. So let's say you were doing some fighting poses, right? And because of those ankle pivots being really great here, she actually get that pose where she's about to knock you out. So you can actually cover that actually pretty well. Even if you wanted to back that arm up just a little bit, right? If you're defending yourself and mid-defense, things like that, that pose right there just strikes pretty well from the angle of motion. And I'll get into that with some other stuff. But that's for a plastic party. She does also come with an alternative, a shield, not an alternative shield, sorry. She does come with a shield. You can use that either with the weapon holding hands or the spear holding hands, and I'll get into that in a second. This has her classic emblem. It has a very nice color on it. It's even battle worn a little bit, so you can see that there's still dents and scars from people attacking her in it. Just attaches right on with no problem. You saw the sword earlier in the video. This can be held with the sword holding hands. She has 2 of them, and it fits right in, slides right on. Voila. The sword holding hands actually very nice and holds it very well. I actually like the sword a lot because it has, again, the Wonder Woman logo. Wonder Woman! Can't stop, won't stop. Then she also has a really cool battle axe. Also can be held by the sword hand. The weapons holding hand. The axe is very nice. It has nice weight to it and can be held by her with no issue. So let's say you wanted to swing the axe. I'm giving out free posing lessons for this one. So, so again, look, held with no issue, posed up, no problem. And I think the only issue is that if I don't distribute the weight evenly, she won't hold. But voila, there she goes, holding it up. Next up, you also get a spear. This can be held with either the weapons holding hand or the spear holding hand. And the reason why is because you want that thumb out for the right poses for holding a spear when you're in combat with 2 hands with a with a double held weapon. So things like that. You have the curled version of the lasso of truth. Cool stuff. Then you have 2 relaxed open hands. So when you want to put them to her sides or do any other cool stuff, there's that. Let me actually put these guys down for when we do the size comparison. Then you have a wide version of the lasso of truth, right? This actually came folded up, but you can actually curl this up as you want and as you please, which is pretty cool. So when you want to do those cool shots or hold it up, there's even the pointed edges to make it look really nice. Now in the folded version, all you have to do is remove this latch, fold it in, voila, holds up right over there. So I think this is actually pretty cool. And again, if it's in your preference to enjoy it or like it, I think you'll be totally fine with this Wonder Woman. But if you are waiting for the normal one, it's totally up to you. This is definitely for those of you who just want another cool version to go in their collection. Or, you like the Linda Carter stuff from back in the day and like this kind of tribute figure. It's pretty cool. You don't have to buy it. It wasn't MDX. It won't hurt your collection at all. But it would look pretty cool in there. Real quick, though, we are going to jump into the size comparisons. So I'm going to stand her straight up. Make it look cool. And we're going to see what she looks like next to other Mezcos as well as other lines. So here's Wonder Woman standing up. Just in case, I'll stand her up a little bit straighter, just in case you're wondering how she looks. So let me slide over so we can have a straight view. So real quick though, we're gonna put her up next to the other Mezco Trinity, which is a Batman and a Superman. See how she looks. So that way when we get the modern Superwoman, you know what you're getting into. So here is Superman. And next up is going to be Batman. And I chose the Sovereign Knight because that would be the best one for when you get the classic Wonder Woman. And voila, here she is next to the DC Trinity. Let me turn Superman so you guys can get a better look. She's a little taller than Clark, but still smaller than Batman. Clark is a little bit smaller. He shouldn't be that small, but hey, it happens. But overall, I like the way these three look. You can definitely find a fit in my collection, maybe with a classic suit or something else. Now, let's try her up next to some other stuff and see how she looks. Here she is next to the DC Essentials Cheetah, which I think that these two look wonderful together. Cheetah should be taller and leaner and cool, so I think this works out very well. Here she is next to an articulated Icons Ninja. Right? Here she is next to a 1/12 scale synthetic human from 1000 Toys, whose torso I just popped off camera, so don't mind me. So they look great. They're cool. Here we are next to some actually really cool stuff that I want to check out in a second. So just in case you read the Power Rangers Justice League team up, here she is next to the Lightning Collection Red Ranger. And here she is next to an SH Figure Arts Kamen Rider. This one is Rabbit Dragon Trial Form. He's the only one I had next to me. Actually, they don't look too bad against each other. She's supposed to be an Amazon, so it works with the Kamen Rider stuff to be bigger than. Now, next up is some Mythic Legion stuff. Now, this is what actually gets really cool for me because the Mythic Legion stuff fits really well with the Wonder Woman mythology. So this is pretty dope. Here she is next to an orc. Right? Pretty dope. Here she is next to Balam, who she could probably team up with. Right? And as you can see, they're about the same size, in the same scale, larger figures. But when you want to get really cool, right? Let's say you wanted her up against a goblin, which is tiny, even when crouched over. Or in this case, an ogre. Now the ogres are where it's at. Oop. And that's because his hammer got in the way. So I didn't mean for that to happen. So as you can see here, against ogres, she looks tiny, but I think it fits really well with her mythology and that'll work out pretty well. In the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found it informative, but it's one of those things where I gotta go, right? So, as always, guys, be good, do good, drink your water. Later.